know a lot of you guys know me best as a prophetic person. But if you knew me in real life, you know that my favorite thing to do is teach. This is not a gift that you ask for. This is a gift that you're born with. It's just something that God gives you. And honestly, it's exhausting. I love it and I wouldn't trade it. I love being able to converse with the Lord. I love that. I love being able to hear Him well. I love that. That's an honor. But at the end of the day, I'd much rather teach you. I've been a pastor for 20 years, and I've worked in so many churches and so many spaces, and I've loved every minute of all of it. But my favorite thing is teaching. My favorite thing is watching people sprout up and grow taller in the Lord. That's my favorite thing to do. So today, I had it on my heart to talk to you about when life don't go your way. And honey, that's going to be a lot. One thing I've learned is I'm 39, and I learn the more that I grow, and I'm always going to be a student. I believe that. I believe we're all students, and if you ever think you got it all figured out, then God's going to humble you down deep. But I'll always be a student, and I know that as I grow and as I learn, I realize that there's always going to be something in life. No matter how perfect it is, you could have a picture perfect everything. There's still going to be things that you have to come and face and things you're going to have to take before the Lord. And the happier you'll be if you realize that there may always be something, because the devil is your adversary. But you will always have victory. And that will give you a deep down peace. You just have to learn and see enough life to see that God always comes up victorious. And you are an heir of His victory. I want to read you today Isaiah 54. And it got me through a lot of seasons of lack. Seasons of despair, seasons of just being left behind or abandoned, like seasons of not understanding. Those seasons of not knowing why you put up with stuff, or seasons just all of it. And anytime I get women in my office who are struggling with fertility or struggling with marriage or struggling with wanting a marriage or not really knowing what God has for them, or maybe they're in their 60s. Like some of my clients are almost into their 70s, and I'm a pastoral counselor in the day. And the things I hear sadden me to my core, because it is never too late for God to restore and repay the years that the locusts have eaten. He's omnipotent and omnipresent, meaning He's everywhere at once. And He's also in all of time, all at once. He's watching me watch you right now. He's watching Moses part the Red Sea. He's watching your grandchildren be born. He's watching everything at one time, because He is the great I am. And sometimes it feels like maybe it's been too long and God can't restore. Because how could you restore 50 years? Like you feel like you've lost that, or all those years died. But those years didn't die. When your God lives outside of time and space, do you not understand that He can make the rest of your life feel like a whole other lifetime? That God's able to stretch that time? That God's able to expand and do things that we don't understand? I want to encourage you today, and I want you to think about faith without works. And I also want you to think about things that sound crazy, crazy faith. Isaiah is talking to you about crazy faith. And this is what he says. Sing, barren woman who has never had a baby. Kind of sounds like you want to punch him if you're going through that. But then he says it in exclamation. He says, fill the air with song, you who've never experienced childbirth. You're ending up with far more children than all those childbearing women. God says so. Clear lots of ground for your tents. Make your tents large, spread out, think big. Use plenty of rope. Drive that tent peg down deep. You're going to need lots of elbow room for your growing family. You're going to take over whole nations. You're going to resettle abandoned cities. Don't be afraid. You're not going to be embarrassed. Don't hold back. You're not going to come up short. You'll forget all about the humiliations of your youth. You'll forget all about the indignities of being a widow, and they will fade from your memory. For your Maker is your bridegroom, His name God of the angel armies. Your Redeemer is the Holy of Israel, known as God of the whole earth. You were like an abandoned wife, devastated with grief, and God welcomed you back like a woman married young and then left, says your God. I want to stop for just a minute. That was a weird break. But I'm running to work and I only got a second to record. So, in the story of Ruth, there is something called a kinsman redeemer. Well, a kinsman redeemer is someone who has the ability to come and marry you and take care of you when your husband passes away, in a biblical space anyway. So Naomi wants to be left behind by Ruth because she's getting older. Her son has died. The son is the one who was married to Ruth, but she's still trying to get her married off. She still wants her to be okay, and I think at the end of the day, that's real family. Having a mother-in-law like that you can still love and still care about you, that speaks a lot about who Ruth was. It speaks a lot about her character, that this woman still loved her. It speaks a lot that she would push her into new. That says a lot to me. And she does. She takes Naomi with her after all, because Naomi refuses for her to go with her, but Ruth also refuses for her not to come, and Ruth wins. And Ruth always called a woman who refused. She wasn't going to leave her behind. But later on, when they get to this field, Naomi instructs her on everything to do. And she has no real interest in knowing of what Boaz is going to do at first. She's out working in his fields. She's just out here trying to eat. But Naomi knows that this is a great man. And not only is he a great man, he's able to care for someone that she cares for so deeply. And at the heart of it, a woman has several needs. But one of our biggest needs is to be safety, to have safety, to be provided for, and to be protected. And if you can do those three things, then a woman is going to perk her ears up. And over time, I think Ruth began to perk her ears up. But Boaz saw her out there just gleaning in the field, it said. So she goes and she sits at his feet, which sounds strange. But at the end of the day, at the end of this story, it says that Boaz would not stop until he settled this matter. So this matter that we're talking about is that he had to go to the first man in line that could marry her and make sure that he didn't want to marry her. But at the end of the day, he didn't want her to. Didn't want that guy to want her. But he goes and he does things in order, because God is what? A God of order. And it conflicts his interest. So Boaz is like, okay, I'm the man for the job. And it's so funny, because at the end of the day, you have to exchange something in this old custom to get what you're going to get the wife that you're looking for. And what happens is he uses somebody else's shoe to buy her. And not really buy her, but it's like a switch off. It was like a custom. And so Ruth is bought with a shoe after she sat at his feet. So when I read Isaiah 54, I think about the original kinsman redeemer, which is God our Father, and how much love and how much marriage reflects God's love and care for us when it's done properly. I gotta hurry up and get back to work, but it says, your Redeemer God says, I left you but only a moment. Now with enormous compassion, I'm bringing you back. In an outburst of anger, I turn my back on you, but only for a moment. It is with lasting love that I'm tenderly caring for you. This exile is just like the days of Noah for me. I promised then that the waters of Noah would never again flood the earth. So I'm promising now, no more anger, no more dressing you down. For even if the mountains walk away and the hills fall to pieces, my love won't walk away from you. My covenant commitment of peace won't fall apart. The God who has compassion on you says so. Afflicted city, storm-battered, uptied, and unpitied, I'm about to rebuild you with stones of turquoise, lay your foundations with sapphires, construct your towers with rubies, your gates with jewels, and all your walls with precious stones. All your children will have God for their teacher. What a mentor for your children. You'll be built, solid, grounded in righteousness, far from any trouble, nothing to fear, far from terror. It won't even come close. If anyone attacks you, don't for a moment suppose that I sent them, and if any should attack, nothing will come of it. I create the blacksmith who fires up his forge and makes a weapon designed to kill. I also create the destroyer, but no weapon that can hurt you has ever been forged. Any accuser who takes you to court will be dismissed as a liar. This is what God's servants can expect. I'll see to it that everything works out for the best. God's decree. I'm going to leave you with a prophetic word on accident. As I'm reading that and God bringing me to these things, like you sit and study, the Lord speaks to you more and more. And in this season, as God is building you up, it's because you've been spending time with Him. It's because you've let Him redeem you. And when the person comes along, if that's your situation, you're going to be so beautiful, it's going to take a minute to notice.